Right, this morning we've got Sakai Fish Farm. This is a real special batch of Tosai that I selected, well actually ordered earlier this year. 1,050 pieces that first arrived with me. Been some great fish come out so far. I think I've done one initial selection where in this pond, one of the 3.5k ponds, I released about 320 Tosai at 13 to 16 cm. And yeah, just kind of left them to it, and my God, they have been absolutely flying. I'd be surprised if you've been into koi for a while, you don't know who Sakai Fish Farm is. You need to be careful because there's a few different farms that have often the family name of Sakai, but actually trade by others. This is Sakai Fish Farm in Hiroshima, widely regarded as the world's best breeder, certainly of kohaku and sanki. Really, it's a contest between those guys and Dainichi, head to head every year for that kind of title of best farm. But Sakai, in all honesty, seems to be on a bit of a different scale. I don't know the exact thing, but I think they won more Grand Champion awards than anybody else. However, you flip back to Dainichi, they're still the only farm to have won it with all three of the Go Sanki. So regardless of that, this is a bloodline with some really unique characteristics. Sakai has changed the way we've all come to expect to see Go Sanki. The body being the big one with it. You know, the skin quality is undeniable. That's something we see all throughout this batch of fish at every quality level. But really it comes down to that body. It's the unique trait that is, you see it in more and more fish these days, but when you're at Sakai you just see it in every fish. It's absolutely stunning what they've done, and yeah, really set the benchmark moving forwards in modern Nishikoi production. So yeah, they're very, very hard to get. You know, Tosai at a sensible price from Sakai, super hard. Been lucky this year, there's actually 3 batches we've had. This, say, was a really special batch I bought after I'd already bought another batch, so crazy. That was up to about 2,050 fish at that point. And then of course the Dragon Ball Sankis that we've already featured on the channel. Another pretty unique lineage there. So this has a mixture of parent sets from Sakai. That's what you tend to get in these sort of batches of fish. So we don't know the exact lineages, but ultimately there are certain characteristics, as with Dainichi, that are accustomed to Sakai regardless of the parent fish. So yeah, really excited to get these windled through. I'm expecting, as I can see in here, there's a real mixture of sizes. It has been super competitive, but that I need to deal with. So it's likely today that of the fish I'm keeping, there'll be 2 batches that get split up, where I need to focus some in a smaller pond like we've done with other batches to try and really push that growth back on. So yeah, let's get stuck into it and see what we've got. So already in the bowl you can see this huge size differential here. I mean, the size these are grown to already is just mind-boggling, given, you know, there's been 320 fish in there, but you see there to kind of this size, there's a lot of variation that I'm going to have to work through and find a balance there. Again, look, just unbelievable what some of them have done. So yeah, we'll focus on that. What you will see amongst these as well is quite a few Becco, which I'm not too fussed about. Becco seems to be coming into real sort of vogue at the minute, becoming really, really popular. So they are ultimately those Sanki that have lost their Beni, and you will see amongst this batch some Shiro Muji as well, the plain white fish that have lost their red pattern as kohaku. So it's perfectly normal to be expected, even with the most refined eye. With Tosai growing at this kind of rate, it's completely normal, and that's why we do these multiple selections, just to wean this stuff out. At every selection, it's just a case of recognising we see some potential, and to the best of our eye and abilities think that quality can go on and last, but doesn't always happen. So yeah, we'll work through these and see where we get to. The 2 bowls I'm using on my right are going to be the bigger size fish that I'm planning to keep, and then on my left is going to be probably what I'm going to say the smaller size that I'm going to have to debate on what to do. The quality of the fish from these top bloodlines really just is on another level. I don't think it's until you've actually had them in your pond alongside other stuff you really get to see why they're as hyped as what they are, to be honest. You see the quality level of some of the fish in here. This was a really early batch to be sold at Sakai, but the quality level in some of here at some farms I know in Niigata would be kept as tatigoi and really kind of revered by the breeder. And this is stuff that was ultimately just rejected by Sakai really early, but as you can tell, you know, the quality's still absolutely oozing. That's the important part to always remember with koi. You know, quality depends breeder by breeder, kind of where they're at. Some of the big breeders, you know, the worst kind of fish, this kind of quality level released at Sakai, far better than the quality level that some breeders can actually produce, or even on par with their best fish. So it's all relative, and it's even, you'll see these fish, you know, not cheap fish by any stretch, but still command, you know, a decent price because of where they're from. You know, breeders like this can command high prices for this kind of level and size and quality, and the reason is they know their fish are still going to deliver, and there's massive demand for them as well. There you see a Shiro Muji, so kohaku that's lost all of its colour completely. Great body on it, but yeah, they have actually become, again, quite popular. Wow, sorry, that stopped me in my tracks. Phenomenal little Sankey there. That right there has got koi show future ahead of it. Not a big bodied fish, we can see that in the structural setup, but wow, the quality is just mental. Looking to be as rigorous as possible today, so I'm hoping that after this we'll only be probably looking at doing one more selection to this pond a little bit later on in the season, and then they'll just grow through until the harvest time. One of the big parts I'm kind of looking at here, I've kind of noticed, really paying close attention to the sashi and kiwi, obviously always really important with Go Sankey. Just a few here showing a little bit deep, which can be normal with this sort of Benny style, but it's important we get that right because there are characteristics in it that won't grow out with time, age or anything like that as well. So the biggest thing with these selections is there's no real pressure. My main focus is making sure I don't let something that could be really good in future slip. Because ultimately, as a farm, as a business, it's important, and this is the same for the breeders in Japan, you get the right fish at the right price for the fish when they're worth it. You know, if a breeder let all of his best stuff go because he didn't know what he was looking at, he'd never be able to sustain and survive. Some of these smaller pieces are absolutely exceptional. And mainly Sankey, frustratingly, I've seen that a couple of times now. Even though Sakai, Sankey are phenomenal and renowned growers, they seem to be, you know, when competing against kohaku, and it's quite normal as well to raise kohaku with Sankey, but in both, you know, Dainichi Pond where I've had Dragon Balls put, and this case, it's seeming to be in a lot of instances, a lot of the Sankey are getting overpowered by the kohaku. The nice bit to this project, again, like we've done with Issa and Dainichi this year, is right now these fish being released, which are of really nice quality, are going to put a super affordable Sakai Jumbo Tosai into the market, which is not an easy thing to do. You know, getting these kind of Tosai is hard enough, but getting Jumbo Tosai from the farm is as good as impossible unless you're buying them individually through the auctions, and trust me, that is an expensive, very expensive route to go down. Super competitive there, always. You know, my sort of vision with this whole thing all along, if I can get my hands, you know, these batches of fish as Tosai are crazy expensive to buy as a collective. A lot of the breeders and people handling them won't sell them unless they're selling the whole batch. So you've got to have the space and the capital to be able to take that initial investment. And even then amongst them, you know, there's a lot of fish that a lot of the time we don't even make the initial cost back on. But we know that's part of the model. That's again why this selection is important, and the raising, that we can extract the correct value out of the best stuff. But what it does do along the way is produce a lot of really great fish for people who might necessarily miss out on these bloodlines, and that's the bit I'm getting at. You know, I think everybody should be able to enjoy them in their pond, because like I said at the beginning, they really are special. The characteristics are special. When you have them, you see what it's all about in the way they grow, the skin condition, the skin quality, the body is just everything. There's one that I've had my eye on from the very beginning. Phenomenal Sankey, its bone structure, just insane. The balance eventually with the sumi, which is really important to remember, just going to be impeccable. You see that Sakai power building in it in the head and everything. Really excited about that one, and it's certainly doing the business. Just want to show you this example. I was concerned about this with this fish initially, but this is where this isn't even really sashi at this point. You've got elements of secondary colour in there as well, and this is something that we'll never fix. Again, it's going to depend on where you're at. If you're looking at raising high-end fish, a high-end collection, this is not a quality that suits that, but it's still a really nice fish you're going to have there in your pond if that kind of stuff don't bother you. A very reasonable price in the end, but yeah, this is not something that will fix with time. This is only probably going to get worse with age as well. You might get elements that are sashy a bit closer to the main colour that refine, but this bit that's more enhanced in the middle will always stay as it is and probably get worse. Oh, that is just, again, a bit smaller in itself, but just look at that sumi quality there and skin quality overall. I'm so impressed with these fish. It really is a delight to have them. And again, it's just an important part, you know. I think obviously even through these videos we talk about growth a lot, but it's not to forget these smaller fish are going to grow into super fish. They just need that right environment. You cannot forget how competitive this environment is that these are being raised in. 320 fish, 3,500 gallons, even with the sheer amount of food going in, there's always the dominant fish, which makes it difficult. And yes, naturally, those smaller ones we're talking about will not get the eventual overall, you know, sort of jumbo potential that these may possess in a lot of cases, but you know, we're still talking fish there that can do 60 to 70 centimetres quite readily in the right environment. And with the quality they possess, they're going to be very, very impressive fish. And even that, there'll be some in there that can be raised again for koi show purposes at smaller sizes. That all depends on the raising. I think that's an element of koi keeping that's not really spoke about a lot, but you know, a collection of 30-35 centimetre fish of extreme quality really can be something to behold. So here's a fish. This is one we released in our live auctions, including growing, doing exceptionally well. Still one of the real standout pieces in that pond for me. Coming on a treat, keeping up with the others as well, which is nice. So I'm really going to expect this to be a superstar by the end of the season, judging by how it's looking. I'm sure the owner, no doubt watching this, is going to be super, super pleased. So just two here I've left until the end. One of them's broke my heart a little bit. Again, in selection, it's always important to look for them little deformities. We've got the smaller kohaku here, where the mouth's actually off a little bit. We can see it, the mouth veering to the left as you look at the fish. Sorry, off to your right, off to the fish's left. And then this other one, a kohaku I've been really fond of, been racing away, of really super quality. And I've now just seen it's actually got a slightly bent head again, veering off to the fish's right. That's the bit you have to learn to get over quite quickly when you're raising koi, certainly like this, but what a fish that is. But there's just no point in growing that because its commercial value now is massively limited. So yeah, that one's going to have to go. What a shame. Like I say, deformities, we've been really good actually as we've gone along. That's the first two fish I've noticed with any kind of severe deformity. So overall looking really, really good. Right, I'm going to show you here net by net what we've got. You can get an idea. Probably going to reduce the stocking level by about 50-ish%, I reckon, just looking at the nets, considering these smaller size. So this is that smaller stuff. This net does look absolutely extreme. So much quality in there, there really is. So the plan now will be just to find a pond where these can compete against each other more fairly, to be honest, and then see what we can get out of them. But I mean, yeah, the potential of some of these still look. Got amazing patterns, all the skin there. We can see, you know, there's good power in the bodies still. Structures are nice, body lines are nice. Just got to get them in an environment that's more suited. Super, super quality. See that one that we looked at earlier? That's just going to be such a strong koi show fish for the future. Get that into the kind of baby champion sizes, and I think that's going to be a hard fish to beat. Kohakus again, amazing quality. So yeah, we'll see where they get to. Let me look at that. Subo Sumi Dream, the balance there. Even if that fish only ever made 35-40 centimetres, which it will do easily, it's going to look the nuts. In fact, I'll probably expect it to hit 35-40 anyway, as in this side in the pond we're going to do it in. So yeah, you can see there, this is why it's important, especially when you're farming fish or raising Tosai through, you know, having variations in different ponds, to be honest with you, where it makes a big difference. Otherwise these fish would have had to suffer. In here with the others, yes, they'll grow, they have already grown. That's the point to remember. It's not like they've done nothing. If I measured them, they've probably still done substantially well. It's just disproportionate to what the other fish have done, and that's just going to carry on and get worse and worse over the season and cause these to really miss out. But by taking action now, we can ensure we get the maximum into these fish, which I really want to do because of the quality that's in here. But yeah, amazing stuff. So my net that's going to be kept to grow on further, looking really nice, decent balance between Kohaku and Sanki, which is good. The Sanki part especially is the bit I'm dead keen on. I think they're just two words, Sakai Sanki, that yeah, give you goosebumps, to be fair. We'll just get a bit of a size check, got the odd Becco in here as well. It was looking really promising, and a few nice Tancho Sanki. So you can see even here, this smaller one I'm taking a bit of a punt on, because as I had it in the net with the smaller size stuff, it just looked a little bit too big for them. But as you can see here, there's a massive difference already, so that's one that we'll just see where it gets ultimately. But yeah, looking in here, even at that one, sat around about 26, 27. And my God, this bigger end, we're about 32 there. Yeah, and about 32 there again. So I mean, that's just crazy, given, like I say, was at 13 to 16 centimetre when we started out, and we're at that point now. So very, very pleased with that. I'm going to show you a few of these, then get them back in the pond before showing you what was going to be coming to the market for sale soon. You can just see that skin quality, especially as they come up to the surface there. Absolutely mega. Plenty of nice pattern variation amongst them. So yeah, a few key highlights. That was one from early doors. See that body power, skin quality. They're lovely, lovely softness to that colour still. Really nice refined sachet. Great balanced pattern throughout. That's really going to sit well on that as it's getting bigger. This was a real strong one. I think this is going to absolutely run away size wise. Really prominent piece, great size to it. Plenty more to come from that, and a nice elegant 3-step Marathon pattern, which is always nice. Then yeah, just going throughout this sort of style of Sanki, typical Sakai style, this with the Sumi. This didn't have a lot of this Sumi when we started, and how it comes through is there. You can see this breaks the skin almost like shimmers. You can see it right there next to the dorsal fin. We focus on that area. So this develops in the top of that skin, it comes through like that, and before we know it, there'll be full blocks of Sumi there. So the moment I saw that fish, I knew exactly what was going to come. It's just a matter of time. That Sumi does tend to develop quite quickly as well, so I'm sure that's a piece we'll come back to and probably be amazed at what it's actually managed to do. Another really strong Sanki there. Something, again, I don't mind with Sanki too much. The balance of the three colours is important. So even though this Benny pattern, yeah, it would be nice to see some back here, but what's going to happen with that is this Sumi is going to play a prominent part. There is some Benny back there, so I think given some more time, the overall balance of that fish later in its life is going to look exceptional. Yeah, just more and more and more as I keep looking. This Kohaku, really nice and elegant. Again, amazing, lovely body line to it. That's really going to come into its own a bit later on. That's going to be one of the bigger pieces for sure. You just have to look at the elegance of that head and face shape. Nice traditional U-shaped pattern there as well. Really, really good fish. And then there's just them other bits, you know, you see fish like this with the just amazing Benny quality to it. The softness that still has, absolutely amazing. Again, nice body line, great head. But it's this quality you see time and time again with the fish, and that's when you know you're dealing with a serious serious lineage. But yeah, overall, so far, blown away. It's actually the very first time I've raised a batch of Sakai Tosai. I've had a couple of batches of Sakai Tosai over the 13 years now, I think 12, 13 years of koi wholesale. It's really not a lot given that time span, but the first time I've had these like this to actually grow, and I'm excited to see where these go from here. I think now with this massive reduction in stocking level, they're going to absolutely just fly over the next month or so. So as I say, this will need one more selection before the harvest period. At that point there'll be some big Tosai getting released, no doubt, but yeah, let's see where they go. But exciting prospect. So I do always like to show both sides of the story, because there's some, you know, important realities when you're raising fish like this. So these are the fish that are going to be put outside now. See, there's an element, there's a certain percentage of Shiro Mujis, like I mentioned. But to be honest with you, when they're conditioned up, there's even been great demand for Sakai Shiro Mujis. I think ever since he won a couple of big prizes in Japan with one from his mango line, people's been going quite mad for him. The mango line ones are a rarer beast, but these things still do the business as well. You can see they're really sort of strong structure to them. But yeah, the rest, there's a mixed sort of bag in here which will get released price dependent on where the quality's at. There's still also some really strong pieces. I was trying to be quite rigorous, and sometimes, let's say, these fish, it's just certain little things that don't sit with my personal preferences and taste as to why they get released. But you can still see some cracking big bodied, all them qualities still in there, still the Benny quality. Limited amount of sand kicks, like I say, they are a focus for me in the batch overall. There's a few fish in here as well, in all honesty, that's made it in just because they've got bad splits in their fins. They're going to take a bit of time to heal, so we'll move them on at a reduced price and possibly let a dealer sit and do that work, so we can get them out the way and they're not clogging the system up. But yeah, some prominent, really nice fish that will come out. You might even see a few of these featured in our live auctions, to be honest. Really good fish. So yeah, not yet to kind of count up, but I think looking at it, it's probably a fair sort of 50-50 split, and then obviously the fish are the smaller size, so probably going to leave circa around 150, maybe 120 to 150 fish in the pond, and they are going to fly. But look out for these coming up at our dealers, because let's say there's a lot of good fish to be had, and they're going to be very fairly and well priced. And yeah, you might even see a few out of the special batch coming up released for sale, including some growing until the end of the year. But for now, like I say, Sakai Fish Farm, if you've not got one in your pond, I'd highly recommend it. Between that and Dainichi, you've got two of the very best koi farms on the planet, just operating on a different level, and it's clear to see why. So yeah, I'm going to get on with this. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon.